are you obviously you're a producer in the standpoint of being in the room and making shit happen, but are you a practitioner? Did you ever like use a beat machine, or like have you ever touched it?
Nah, for me, I was always like the person that put people in the room. You know, I've always been the person that's represented the producers when I go to sessions or meetings or, you know, sync opportunities. And I've luckily been able to help a lot of people not only get placements, but also just position themselves into not thinking that they're just a producer or just the artist, or, you know, like trying to open their mind to more, you know, just some more opportunities. I think a lot of times people get stuck in a space where they just think they're, because they decided to be a producer, that's all they can do. They don't know what other money streams they can make, or like music like that right now, what that kid just did. There's so many TV shows or shows on like Netflix
Yep.
he's doing that could be so like usable in different ways, not just with an artist. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I've never actually made beats. I've always just been privileged to be somebody who's been around a lot of talented people.
When did you shift it to production? Because I felt like the I Standard joints all used to be MC competitions first, right? They never were. You never did.
Nah, prior to that, I did something called Faces in the Crowd. We ended up helping Chrisette Michelle get her deal with Island Def Jam. That was kind of like my, you know, that's kind of where I kind of became like the go-to showcase guy in New York, because every A&R was like, hey, who's the next rap group? Who's the next boy band? Who's the next whatever? And then one of the managers of the artists that were in my event were like, hey, why don't we try doing something like this for producers? But for me, like, I always wanted to be more than just entertainment. I wanted to be educational as well.
Yeah.
You know, how do you prepare yourself when you walk into an office? How many beats should you have? How do you read the room? When, you know your purpose, know when to be a servant, know when to be somebody you could, you know, speak, you know, maybe it's not your session, but you're there with somebody else, and all of a sudden you become part of a conversation. And so it's more about like the preparatory things aside from the technical things. Obviously, I'm just going off of everything that I've experienced in my life, because a lot of people may make great beats, but they've never had a chance to be in front of a Dr. Dre or an Ariana Grande or 50 Cent or whoever, and been able to have those interactions to know exactly how to understand the language of what the artist wants or the sync agent might want, you know? So I kind of play that middle ground for the most part. But yeah, I Standard was mainly production. And I switched
For some reason, I felt like when I first met you, and I thought that it was a rap competition for some reason. It was in Boston. It was in Boston. It was in Jamaica Plain. It was in JP at this. It was like a studio that doesn't exist anymore. Like you go up the stairs. I forgot the name.
Oh yeah, that was Surefire Studios.
Was it Surefire?
Yeah, and unfortunately, Jared passed away like 3 years ago.
No, you know, Surefire is in that was in Lowell.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in Jamaica Plain, like in Boston.
Oh yeah, it was like a loft upstairs somewhere.
Yeah, you go upstairs.
Yeah, we probably had some MCs performing there, like in between.
I performed on it. I performed. Okay. But I wasn't competing. But I don't recall it being a producer showcase. But I don't know. I was just thinking. I was like, was there a transition period?
No, because you actually were working with one of the producers, I think, that were on a show maybe, and I think they may have just been like, hey, is it cool if my guy rocks out? Mm-hmm. Or whatever, and I think, you know, you just kind of came out and did your thing. I remember that place. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's like 2010, bro.
Not even like don't forget the Middle East. We rocked there for a little while.
Yeah.
Man, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's like 2010. It's been a long
years
time.
ago, dog.
Yeah, it's a minute. Sometimes my short term is bad.
Long term,
yeah,
it was horrible. But
we're really showing our age.
Before we get back into the music, I wanted to ask you about like your book. You had a book talking about like the right time to like leave your job type energy, like in terms of like when you made the shift in your professional career. Like I wanted you to like talk about that, because I never read the book, but I also didn't know what you did like previous to the music industry, and how did you make that leap?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a book called How I Left My Job and Made it in the Music Industry, self-published, sold about 7,000 copies myself, just through, you know, socials and just having the relationships that I have. It was basically just talking about like my like the segue up to me leaving. I used to work for a clothing retailer, managed 18 stores, $400 million worth of inventory. I was every level of person you could possibly be, from the key holder to master trainer to regional trainer. To, it was just, I basically did everything for the company. But my father had passed away, and I realized one day that I didn't love what I was doing anymore. And music kept always calling me back. And game had changed so much. You know, we weren't, when I was managed by Slick Rick's DJ as an artist, like back in like 1991. You know what I'm saying? So now we really going back. We're going back 30 years. So yeah, I was managed by Slick Rick's DJ. I had relationships with Sadat X, Dead Prez before they were Dead Prez, and I saw like the front line of hip hop growing up. Like CL Smooth and P Rock had a car detailing shop, and I learned so much about the culture early on that I got burnt out, you know, after a little while, because I was working 3 jobs. I ended up going to the studio, ended up leaving. I come back, there's a little post-it note saying close to further notice. This is like beeper days, dog. This is like phone booth days. It's not even like SkyTel pager days. You know what I mean? This is how old we really get. Then, you know, like I said, I left my job. I took about, I had about 8 years working, left my job at 29, decided to start this music journey. And I had an artist that I managed and a producer, and did some sync work, showcases, more sync work, managed Platinum Plus producers and writers, big placements. And fortunately, here I am, still trying to be relevant.
Dope.
So when is the right time to leave your job?
You know, I'll be honest with you, man. When I left my job, it was more about the confidence that I had in myself versus was I ready. I felt like I had to get my mom's cosign. You know, Mom Dukes is like me. Like, you know, we used to fist fight in the kitchen. We used to get in arguments, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, okay, meet me in the kitchen. 5 minutes. We'll see who's tough."
Mom got hands.
Italian mom from the Bronx. She got hands, dog.
Okay.
So, she punched me in the nose. I was like, "Okay, we good. I'm sorry. That's it. I'm gonna listen from now on." But it just got to the point where I believed enough in myself that I made this other company so much money, and I knew that I was able to, you know, if I was provided with the right information and utilized my confidence and my capacity and my resources, my organizational skills, communication skills, there's no reason why I can't do this for myself. And here we are, February 14th will be 25 years that I'm self-employed. Doing what I love to do every day. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, how many people do we know we see every day who get paid shit and hate their job? I'd rather get paid shit and love my job, you know, not have a heart attack one day or wake up, you know, doing something stupid because I didn't live my life the way I wanted to live it. You know what I mean?